Unique
How now?
New York.
Okay,
The
I think
arsonist
it's
had oddly shaped feet.
here we go. Yep, it's recorded. Cool. Hey, sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to wear your mask. I do. They do that. They do that. Yeah, they do that at the gym now. Like when I go in, they fucking there's this fucking dykey looking chick. Yeah. And she's just like a Karen, and she's all, "Hey, get your." Well, she says it politely, but in a very cunt way.
So like, wait, do you have to wear it while you're working out though, or
No.
just like as you? Yeah, see, that's what's stupid is that like because at my gym, you have to wear it like while you walk in and go to the locker room, right? But then like as you're working out, you can take it off.
Yeah.
And then like apparently, I guess you have to put it back. Like there's some magic bubble, you know?
Yeah. No shit.
I'm in a bubble, and then when you're leaving, you put it back on.
Right.
Because I remember like one day I went. And the dude, like you know how you just like forget, right? You like it's sitting in your car, and I just like forget, and it's like it's literally 5 a.m, right? And the dude's like, "Oh, sir, do you need a mask?" And I was like in my head, I was like, "Wait, do I?" Like, what? And then I realized that I didn't have it on, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take one, thanks." And I wasn't like intentionally doing it to,
be a
like,
dick. Well,
right? Yeah, I forgot,
Right. Well, I'm never a dickhead about it. Like, there's some people that are. I'm just like, whatever. All right. And because like, but today I was kind of irritated because like I had it. It wasn't even down here. It was right here on my nose, or it was like right here. She's like, "Can you pull it up a little more?" I was like,
"Wait, pull it up above your."
I was like, my nostrils. All right, but yeah, no, it's just the lobby. It's just the lobby that you have to wear it for some weird reason.
Because the 5,000 square foot room that's behind you with 50 people in it is like it. That doesn't matter. No.
You know what's crazy though? They tell me and they don't have masks on. I'm like, so what? I don't understand. And this one guy was like, "We're gonna get shut down if you guys don't have masks on coming in." And I was like, but you don't have one on. I didn't say that, but I was like, I really wanted to.
What? To the person like checking you in?
Well, yeah, he was one of the trainers. He didn't. There's like 3 or 4 people behind the desk,
right.
He was one of them. And I was like, okay. I was like, but you don't have one on. You know what I mean? I was like, whatever. Right. I was not gonna argue with them.
See it at the gym I go to. They always have them on, like at the people behind the desk or whatever. So
yeah. I don't know. I think hopefully they keep the gyms open. You think they would? Well, they won't.
They just shut them down here, dude.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. Wait, are we recording right now?
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, dude. Governor Walz just came on. That's the governor of Minnesota. He just came on. 4-week pause on everything, dude. Restaurants are back down. Gyms are shut down. Bars are shut down.
Schools too.
Schools have been shut down.
Oh,
we never went back. So I mean, some schools. So it was up to the school districts. So like some school districts in like a little bit more rural areas, they went back. Like they did a hybrid thing, right? Where it's like they're there for like 2 days, 2 days a week, or like every other day, and then some kids are at home or whatever. And then it was like real weird. Like as cases started going back up, like the high school kids had to be at home, but the elementary school kids were cool. But like the district that Caden is in, they never went back. They haven't gone back. But it's like his district, he's in, and I have no problem saying this publicly. He's in Minneapolis public school district, which I just absolutely hate.
Really?
Oh, it's just not.
You want him in private school or something?
Do I want him in private school?
Yeah.
Well, everybody wants their kid in private school until they have to go pay.
But do you though? Do you? Because I feel like private school kind of breeds bitches. You know.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get what you're saying. No, I mean, yeah, like realistically, no, I just want him in like a good public school system. Right. We weren't in a bad school district. Like, I mean, SMSD wasn't.
No, it wasn't bad. So, I mean, I would say we saw more stuff than private school kids.
But, yeah, but I mean, that's just like.
That's
just how it is. That's just like how it is.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't want him like going to. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know. Yeah, that's that governor. That's the like really young progressive guy with like the slick back hair and shit. That guy.
No, old guy.
No.
No, we got old guy.
Who was? Oh no, it was the mayor of Minneapolis. Is who I'm thinking.
You're thinking of Fry. You're thinking
yeah.
of Fry. Yeah, he's.
Yeah, what was funny was like when they were asking him to defund the police at one point, and he's like, I can't do that, and they're like, get the fuck out of here!
They booed him.
Yeah, like
did you see the video of like?
Yeah,
that was at the height of everything, So like he's
right.
standing in the middle of a crowd. I think it was even down on Lake Street, which like Lake Street is where everything happened, like the whole George Floyd thing happened. And so he was there, like, in support. And then why is this not working? Then select Google. Why would I don't want to do that. Okay, whatever. Oh, I just hate technology sometimes. Anyway, he's like literally standing in the middle of this crowd, and they're like, defund the police, all this stuff. And they're like, oh, you're up for re-election. Like, and they even started out with that tone, like, oh, you're up for re-election, aren't you? So we're all sitting here watching, and it was just like, ooh, know where this is going.
Well, and he's like, I heard he's like really fucking progressive and all that. So he's obviously on their side, but it's like that's such a hard thing to do, is defund the police, and then they're asking them something to do unrealistic. And when they do that, and he's like, I don't know I'm one guy, and they're like, dude, get the
it's a difficult position. It's like a very difficult position to be in, because like there's like there's two extremes where like everybody, like, let me explain both camps, right? Like there's people that are like, defund the police, and like what they mean is literally like, yeah, we don't need any police, right? Like we don't need any police at all. And then there's other group. There's that, which is kind of like an anarchy type of thing,
right?
Like, oh, we can govern ourselves, right?
Yeah,
which a lot of people disagree with, and I disagree with, but like, and then there's other people where they say defund the police, and they mean like defund, like take the money that you have for the police
and
like
reutilize it, right?
Put it into like programs, right? So like social programs, which seems like a better like use, like that seems like a better use case. But there's like the opposite side too, where it's like people on the other side, and like it's typically a left-right argument, right? So like those are like the extremes of the left argument, and it's like there's the people on the right that are like that kind of like understand that middle ground, but then there's the other people where it's like they think that there's just like defund the police, and it's like
it just means one thing.
One's mismatching the other, and it's like creates this chaotic conversation.
Right. But even I feel like even reutilizing the fucking their money for social programs, like how much do you know? Like, what are the social programs that are they actually going to help? Like, are they actually doing anything, or is it all going to politicians, or is it all, what I mean? And is it really even helping the police? Because, you're taking that money away from them, and they already get paid like shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, you're already pissing cops. Like, cops really probably aren't. I was thinking this today. Like, they're really not in it for the money. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what benefits they have. So already fucking with their money is going to piss them off enough. Probably make more dickheads than there already is. You know what I mean? So, because like and I get it. Like, but in another thing, when I was talking with someone it was on my last podcast. He was going to be a cop. He was like studying criminal justice. He's like, dude, when the George Floyd thing happened, they were letting anybody become a fucking cop, which is like the opposite thing that you want to do.
Well, that's like
anyone, but it's because so many people are dropping out, right?
That's the argument too, though. That's like that's the other argument too, is like, if we defund the police department, then we don't have money to pay like top tier people, right? Then you're just gonna get like worse cops, or worse people being cops, and it's like gonna make the situation worse. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is to literally any of the. I mean, I do think like the police definitely deal with a lot more stuff, but like this is literally all public service stuff, like the fire department, police department, like any of those public type service people are always dealing with like a lot more than what their core job description is. You know what I mean? I remember
dickheads and all that and shit, like, you know, just people treat them like shit. And
I mean, it's like not even necessarily like they're responding to things, or they're called in to do things or are in front of things that are not like when you think of a cop, right? You think of like law enforcement, they're like catching bad guys and those types of things.
Right.
And I feel like the argument is always like, well, a lot of these are like mental health issues and whatever, which is like, okay, all right. But like when a mental health like problem becomes a threat to like somebody else's like life or property, that's where it kind of crosses the line. And the police should respond. I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, I'm sure people do too. Well, that's another thing is like a lot of people talk and they're like, well, don't you think the cops need more training? Which is like, you don't want to train like a douchebag to become a bigger douchebag. I get that argument. Like, okay, you just trained a fucking dickhead how to choke people out and kick ass like they're fucking Joe Swanson on Family Guy when he gets his legs back, right? But then you got like, you know, I'm sure if you had harder training for people, then people who can't handle that pressure and stuff like that, they get weeded out. Like, you know, there's that one thing that happened where this dude was on his phone and cops were like, and you know who Jocko is, that guy, that Navy SEAL. He was talking about, and I was watching a podcast with him on it, and he was talking about how this guy had it, you know, he was on his phone and he had headphones in. They're telling him to freeze and turn around, but he couldn't hear him, so he turned around and he went to, you know, turn off his phone, and they thought he had a gun and they shot him. But the thing is, like, they're like, dude, if you watch the video, the cops are so fucking stupid because, like, you know, you could literally. I'm trying to make this bubble bigger because, like, for one, they're like, look how the cop. They're like, I'm a Navy SEAL. Like in the military, this would never happen because the cop is like standing outright, like pointing his gun at him, like with no cover. You know what I mean? So like, if he got behind a car, like a mailbox or something, like found cover, was like, so if it was a gun, he would have cover to, you know what I mean? Because if he's just out in the open like that, you're gonna be scared. And when someone pulls out, like, what if you think someone's gonna pull out a gun, you're gonna shoot them, but it's a fucking cell phone. Whereas you're trained to be like, okay, I'm in cover. Oh, okay, it's just a cell phone. I don't have to fucking.
And I really agree because I feel like we're heading towards the conversation of the same podcast that like Jocko had with Joe, like right after all.
It wasn't that one. It was another one that I watched. I actually didn't watch full on that. I watched that one, but I didn't finish. It was like his own podcast.
That's Jocko's sentiment, though, is that like the cops need more training,
right?
You need to give them like more funding and those types of things, which I kind of agree with that. Like, of course, I don't know anything, right? I'm not I'm not a cop. I don't know. I don't deal with those like types of situations. Right. But like it makes sense to me. Like if you were to train somebody up to the point of where like they didn't feel like they need to grab a gun,
right?
And, you know what I mean? Like they could take somebody out using like some mixed martial arts or something like that. Like you're a lot more comfortable being in those types of situations or disarming people in a way that doesn't like get to the. And same thing with like I think he even brought this up too on Joe's podcast, or I can't remember. I listened to some of his podcasts too. It was like de-escalation techniques, right? Like talking, like trying to talk people down and like bring down the temperature of the situation.
Right.
So I mean, all of that makes sense
For
to me.
sure.
Always like one extreme to the other, I feel like is the wrong answer. And I feel like everybody's just always screaming at each other
and not listening. And
yeah.
Have you ever? I know this is off topic. Have you ever watched that? I watched it last night. It was fucking hilarious. It was Ben Affleck arguing with Sam Harris on Bill Maher.
No.
Oh God, dude. So I was watching Joe's podcast and they were like kind of fucking talking about like Ben Affleck getting his dick sucked by his mistress or something like that. So they're and Joe's like, fuck him, he's a fucking douchebag. And they're like, well, he was like, well, why do you think that? He's like, look at that interview. So I went and watched, and it's just he's one of those guys who's like you can't be a free thinker, you can't like because what it was about was Bill Maher and Sam Harris were like talking. They were like, well, and Sam Harris is like, I don't even know who Sam Harris is, but I guess he has his own podcast and shit. He like studies religions and stuff like that. So he knows core parts of people's religions. He's like, look, the thing with like this whole cancel culture thing is like, we could criticize like white Christians all day, right? But the minute we say like, well, there's problems in like the Islamic community of like how they treat women, how they treat homosexuals and stuff like that, we get penalized. We get called, what is it, xenophobic or Islamophobic or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, that's bullshit about cancel culture is you can't say anything that's not like, it's like you could, and he's like, because the whole thing was like liberals have lost their values of like free thinking, free speech, like, you know, protecting. Like they're even like
Sam Harris was saying this, or Ben Affleck was?
No, Sam Harris and Bill Maher were saying this. Ben Affleck was like, I'm a fucking Hollywood douchebag. Like he was all like, he's like, that's fucking bullshit. Like it's xenophobic and racist and gross. He's like, you're racist and gross. And he got all fucking like choked up, and he was just screaming at him. And Sam Harris and Bill Maher were like, no, that's like, you're not even listening to what we're saying.
It's weird though, too. Like even like the way you're saying it. Of course, I only know Sam Harris from like what I have because Sam Harris does have his own podcast.
I've seen his face. I've never when I saw him, I was like, I know that guy, but I don't like know him at all. Like,
yeah, he's come on like Rogan and I think like Altitude and stuff like that.
Right.
But like I feel it. But Sam, he's a pretty left guy himself. You know what I mean? Like everything
and so is Bill Maher.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, when they're talking, they're like, and then Bill Maher's like, it's not racist to say that there's problems with a religion. You're just mad because it happens that the main majority of people in the religion are not white, so you don't want to criticize it. Right. And that's what Bill Maher was trying to say is like, and that's the thing is like, if you're going to be liberal and you're going to hold like liberal values, then you need to be a free thinker and be able to not, you know what I mean? Like, oh, nope, you can't talk about that. That's not real, which is kind of like what the far left is. And it's almost like if you could, because like, dude, back when like we were kids, like especially the area we grew up in Mission, I always remember like Grandma and Granddad being like, oh, well, they're Democrats. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you know, you're just like, whatever. And I'd hang out with like Lucas.
Is that Honey that's banging on the door?
No, that's fucking Andy. Hold on, let me get it. Get her. Ugh.
Good God.
Mom, get Andy, please. Can you get Andy? Almost out.
Mom,
the meatloaf. The meatloaf. Mom. Hold on. I don't even know where the hell.
So this is my solo moment on the Lucas Shirley show. I wasn't prepared. I don't have a lot to say. We don't have much time together.
What did you say? I'll watch it. What you said. I was thinking, I was like, that would sound like a fucking like typical like white kid in the burb. Hey, Bob! God damn it! No, but that's like, it's one of those things where, and even people like, dude, my age, like, I'm pretty sure you kind of missed it. But especially being in like a drama school, like, you know, the kids who were like would consider themselves left, it's like it's crazily too much to the left. And like I said, when we were kids, like for example, I'm going to use like Lucas's parents for example. Like they had like they had Obama sign, and you know what I mean. So clearly they voted for Obama stuff. They were more left, and so and a lot of people around them, like Mamo and Granddad would be friends with, and they were just like considered Democrats, but they were never like the next like 4 years later, you'd see some of those people with the Trump sign, or even before that, you might have seen them with a Bush sign. But then they vote for whoever they just want, you know what I mean, whoever they think would be the best. Yeah, they're more independent, and that's what I feel like the left was. And of course I was fucking 5, so like back in 2000, early 2000s and mid 2000s, it was kind of like that, where it's like if you're left, you're like, no, I just want it to be progressive, and you're more independent. But now it's like you have to follow these like ideologies, like if you're on the right, what pisses me off about the Republican Party the most is like they always have to bring up like abortion and religion, and I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, can you just talk about what like
it turns off a lot of people.
It does, and it's like, well, it's because they know they're following, right? So they're like, okay, we have to, right? Because like, if you really like, I mean, how many abortions you think Trump has probably had? Let's be real here. I mean, come on, how he can afford them? I mean, he's probably fucking. And you know what? Stem cells. How many fucking stem cells is this dude probably shot up to help his bird back? You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me? Look at his back is like, it's like a bird. You know what I mean? I don't know. I heard BG say it one day. I thought it was good. A bird back.
I haven't heard that one. I feel like it seemed like it's hard for me to even say too, because like I'm whatever, like 7, 8 years older than you, and it just feels like things are just so. Like in all the presidential elections, which like they're obviously every 4 years. So even being like close to 30, which I am, that's not many elections to remember.
Right.
But it just like the whole like political climate, it just feels like everything is so like
extreme.
1 or 0, man. It's like
there's
no middle of the road. It's just like you're either like or
right.
It's just not.
And when you talk to people, they don't. It's like you have like. Well, the one thing is like I get in arguments with people like, and I've said this on the podcast. Like, if you don't agree with, man, you probably should have signed a contract before you came on here, because I don't know if you'll have a job after you come on here. But yeah, my little brother's podcast. He's a little wild. He just kind of says whatever.
He blew up on MSNBC, and
I wish. I kind of want to start a trend that like I think it might make me blow up, is I want to tell everyone just to comment like piece of shit white male on all of my and just see, because then people, like a bunch of people will be like, well, is he a piece of shit white male? Then they watch it and then they can figure out for themselves, and then I just get views and
yeah, that's like the soul sucking way of like getting fame, is like what is that, like infamy.
Have you do you have Hulu?
Yeah.
Do you remember Tekashi 6ix9ine?
Yeah.
The dude who like tatted there's a documentary about him. I didn't finish it, but it's fucking wild about like how, and like me being my age, I remember like him coming up and stuff like this. So it goes like it shows how he got famous and all this, and like, cause he's like the typical like clout chaser or whatever, like trying to be like just a fucking ass, as big of an asshole as he can so he can get famous. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, you should give it, because there's so much to it. Like, they find out the dude who was with them all along was like ICE, I guess, was going to deport him or whatever, and so they said, well, we know you hang with this guy, so you just give us all the information about him and what he's doing, because he's obviously doing illegal shit. And so the FBI, like, or the CIA or FBI, something like that, just was like, So he just everything they did, he told them and like snitched on Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Really, dude.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of
I
wild.
just because I don't know that like I knew he like snitched or
Right?
whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But like I don't know anything about him. But like I'm just like pull him up on Wikipedia, dude. He's 24 years old.
yeah.
Like
He's not
how?
that much older than me.
That's what blows my mind. You know, I was watching uh do you remember I don't know, you might not be. It was literally came out when you were like an infant. But the movie Blast from the Past
Yes,
with
with Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, and they go underground and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right? During the like Cold War or whatever. Um, so that was on, I think it was on HBO Max, and I saw it and I was like,
Mhm.
oh shit, like we gotta watch that, like it's kind of one of those like corny movies, but it was like one of those
Yeah.
good corny movies, right?
Right.
So we watched it, and I was sitting there and I was looking, and there was the chick that's in it, which I can't even remember her name. I googled her the other day. I can't remember. It's like Alicia something or other. But I googled her. I was like, what was her name? Because I feel like she was in like a core like 2 or 3 movies like in that era, and then like
Right.
now then she was not in
Now she's
anything. Like
just
Brendan
off.
Fraser
Right.
too. Like during that era, like Brendan
He
Fraser
was
was in
pretty
like
big.
Bedazzled and Blast from the
Mummy
Past
and
and Mummy,
yeah.
all those Mummy movies, all that stuff. Like there was
Mhm.
like that core like Brendan Fraser time, right? But like her, it was like 2, 3 movies, and then like I don't
Alicia
know if she,
Silverstone.
yeah,
Alicia
Alicia
Silverstone.
Silverstone, right? Yeah,
Oh, her. Yeah, she
yeah.
fucking. She kind of looks like Mom in a weird way.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Um,
it is, but it's kind of true.
but anyway, I was like, what?
She was
Like,
Batgirl.
oh yeah. She was
Yeah,
Batgirl,
she was Batgirl.
and when Clooney was
Yeah.
when Clooney was right, yeah. But that was like in the same era, right? That was like
Yeah.
96, 97, something like that,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Um,
2000s, yeah.
Right. And so I was like, oh man, like I don't feel like she was in anything like really outside of that, like, anything even like in 2003, but when I was looking it up, I was looking at, like, she was 24 when she did that movie. And I was like, dude, like, here I am, 28, sitting in a basement. And
And I'm talking to my douchebag brother on his fucking
I'm just,
podcast.
I mean, it blows your mind sometimes.
Right.
Same thing. Like, who's that running? Edwards-Helaire, right? The running back for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
He's pretty young, isn't he? Yeah.
21,
Yeah.
21 years old.
Yeah. He just has
Jesus,
that.
and Patrick Mahomes just
Yeah.
turned like 25.
Yeah.
It's, oh God, it just blows your mind. There's just all
Dude,
these like,
I saw his little brother the other day. And
oh,
his
did you really?
and his fiance, yeah, they were at I think it was his fiance. It looked just like her, but I think she was trying to hide more, and she had glasses on and shit. And I was at Target, and people were like,
Oh, like
huh?
down south?
No, like as in Mission Target. Yeah. So we went in there, or well, I was already in there. I was leaving, and I look over and I see someone was like, "Hey, Mahomes' brother." I was like, "Shut the fuck up." They're like, "No, I'm serious." So I walked over and I see him, and he's tall as fuck. Like he's like
Yeah,
6'5". He's a tall dude, and I
he's
think he's
taller than
dead.
Pat.
Yeah. He's really tall, but he's walking around like jumping and and he looked back at me because I think he thought that because he knew, I think he knew I worked there or whatever. So he jumped up and then he turned around and looked at me like, and I thought, like, in my mind, I'm like, oh fuck, I hope he doesn't think I followed him, because I just wanted to see if he was there. I even was going to turn a right or whatever, so that way
Both of you had these awkward moments where he's like, "Oh, I just got caught doing something," like,
yeah, I got time.
and then you're like, "Oh God,
oh God, oh, I'm gonna put my phone away." Yeah. Yeah, dude, I was thinking, I was like, should I get his autograph? But I was like, no, why would I get Mahomes' brother's autograph? It's not Mahomes.
Your Snap story?
Will you watch my podcast? Can you have your brother on? But yeah, that dude like blew up on TikTok too.
Yeah, he's like a big TikTok, like Instagram Reels or whatever.
Yeah.
He has his own, because he has his own, like, I don't know if it's like I guess technically a clothing line, but I think it's only like some shirts and hoodies and stuff, but it's like unathletic because like he is there's I can't remember where I even saw the story. It was like it's like his dad was his dad was an MLB player. I think his uncle was in the NFL. Pat is like the biggest athlete in this decade.
And he's all about like fashion and TikTok and
and
and shit. Like
he's just not in that mold, right?
he's not in.
His
Yeah,
brand name is literally like unathletic. I think it.
That's hilarious.
Let's see, unathletic.
That's awesome.
Jack.
Well, that's one way to make it.
Yeah. Oh, a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Don't the Mannings have like another brother that's like.
Yeah, there's like the oldest one. So there's like Peyton, Eli, and then I think it's like their older brother. But like their older brother is like a business tycoon. Like he's not.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like he's a nobody or anything like that. He has like either like a top executive and has multiple businesses himself or something. He's like very successful.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta have like a thing of like if you're not like okay, well everyone's a fucking athlete, professional athlete in my family. I got to do something. Like I can't be a fucking like it's that go getter mentality, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Plus, you'd feel like shit unless you're like, wasn't Reagan's like kid a fucking loser or something like that?
Who? Ron Reagan. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I think this Republican side he was a loser because he was fucking cool and smoked weed with Tommy Chong in the White House and shit like that. Supposedly, yeah. There's like a thing that he smoked weed with Tommy Chong on top of the White House or something like that, and he just was like, "Well, my dad's a president, so I'm gonna fucking party."
That sounds kind of insane.
That does sound insane because, well, especially with the war on drugs, right? I mean, that's Reagan, right?
Yep.
Oh wait, or did Nixon start it and Reagan kind of continued it, right?
Well, I don't think it was Nixon. I think that because it was what's Reagan's wife's name? Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
You remember there's like you might have seen it, like it's where like they're sitting on a couch. It's like one of those presidential PA things, or
right.
PSA or whatever, where they're both sitting there and they're like, drugs, blah 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 blah. Like I feel like that was their thing. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe Nixon did start it, but I feel like the clout is behind Reagan. Look, I used clout. I just because you said it, I want to use it.
It's a great word. I didn't know it. I was like, when people all would be clouded up. I was like, you want to get gout? I thought they said gout.
Stop.
It would be. Yeah, just okay. We're gonna go back there. We're gonna redo what you just said. Okay.
Clout chaser. That's what actually. No, I heard it. Danny said something about it. Clout something. Clout chaser or something like that the other day.
Something like that. Hold on, I gotta take a fucking piss. And I'm not gonna concentrate if I keep going. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back.
Fantastic. So what am I supposed to do in the meantime? I'm just supposed
to do a little monologue.
Do a little monologue here. Yeah. Okay. So for everybody that is listening that doesn't know who I am, my name is Connor. Hello. And Luke, I'm Luke's brother. I know. We look a lot alike, don't we? Nope, we don't, because we got different dads. Yeah. So I live in Minnesota. I've lived up here for about 5 years. It's cold. It's not like Kansas City temperature wise. What else can I say? Pretty cool guy. Oh, he's getting in trouble. Ouch. To make got yelled at.
Huh? Who?
I just did a little piece there. I read it.
Kate can get yelled at or something?
No, I read a poem. Yeah,
I like to read a book. I'm totally not prepared. Totally not prepared. What's it called, dude? Speaking of like drugs and shit, can you believe Oregon?
Oh, legalizing everything?
Yeah, that's fucking. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a good, bad idea, or what?
So supposedly, I feel like it's like one of the Nordic countries, like
Yeah, it's like Norway or something
Sweden
like
or
that.
Norway, or maybe it's
Right.
Portugal, which not isn't Nordic, but I think it was Portugal. One of those.
Mm-hmm.
They legalized like everything. Uh, I think like, but they had they have like a bunch of infrastructure stuff too around it, where it's like
You can
they're
come in,
actually,
right?
yeah, like you could, like they're actually trying to help people, like not just put them in a death spiral.
Yeah, like wing off of it. Like they come in, just shoot up a little bit, go out, do some math, do some math. Well, but I don't see. That's the thing is like there's so many. Like, obviously, I 100% like psychedelics and marijuana and shit like that should be legal, but like it's hard to say like if cocaine and meth and heroin and all that shit should be legal. That seems a little too much, right? But it's almost like I don't know. It's kind of like people are gonna do it either way, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we I don't know. I don't know if like making it legal will help. I don't like this is
See,
I legit literally on all of these issues, like the stuff that people get so fired up about, I'm always like, if you had to hard press me for an answer of like, tell me what the answer is, or tell me like the way you lean, and like, I don't know, man. Like it might work. I don't know. But here's the thing. Like here's the problem though that we have. Like the problem that we have. Well, I was about to say the problem we have in this country, but the problem that we have is like we like the way progress gets made, or the way that you like figure out what the most optimal thing is by like testing things out and doing experiments, right?
right?
So the thing is like nobody here wants to be like wrong or right or wrong or whatever it may, I mean, like nobody's not willing to just be like, all right, we're just going to try this out for like 2 years, and then we'll
Just see what
see,
happens.
and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But like
Right.
that seems like a weird one to do, because like what if like a bunch of people die in those 2 years, or like what if like the country just comes unhinged? You know what I mean? But like I don't know. There's like those small pockets, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing that
At a
they're
state
doing it.
that just a state did that, right? Because
Right?
it's like
Yeah. Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
like
It's
the
a good thing.
test, right? I wonder how people in
Exactly.
Oregon feel about it. I wonder. Like,
I yeah.
is that a blue state?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was about to
Absolutely.
say, there's no way
Back
Republicans would be
upstairs. Go back upstairs.
like,
Know where you're at. Um.
yeah, there's no way that would be a thing. I don't know. I'll go ahead
Oh,
if you
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, yeah, the state, it's very good that a state is doing it, because then it's like confined to like
See
that.
what happens.
Yeah, you see what happens, and that's actually one of the great things. Like that's one of the things that I really like about like obviously I'm a little more conservative than most people, um, but making things where like you have a looser federal government, and you have
Right.
uh, like much more like things are uh, like you let the states decide, right? You let the
Right.
states decide stuff, and the reason I like that is because you bring the decision a lot closer to the people it affects. You know what I mean?
Right.
and
Right.
and especially too, like I think everybody on a national stage, like for like take for example like legalizing weed, right? I don't feel like anybody, I feel like probably the majority of people, like the majority of like our generation, who takes up like a very hefty chunk of the voting population now, is kind of like is okay with like some level of legalization of marijuana, right?
Right.
But I feel like everybody's like defeated and they're like, it's never gonna happen. Like it's never gonna be, like the prohibition thing where it's nationally gonna get done. But people feel like their vote counts a lot more. And well, okay, and let me kind of I digress. People, but the reason why I think people don't feel like it's ever going to happen is because like it's this far away, like you have your representatives, right, that are voting for you on this huge stage, and it's just like so removed, you know what I mean? Whereas like the state, like, do you know who your state representative is? I'm talking not talking about like your senator. I'm talking about like your state senator that represents you in Topeka, like represents you to the governor or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like the state legislature, not the national legislature. Like nobody knows who that person is. Maybe a lot of people do, and I'm just
I don't. I know it was
total
fucking our turd. No, what's it called? Cancel. No, it's like some old. Well, it's an old white guy. It was between him and the Barbara Boye, I think. Right for Kansas.
Wait, who is it?
It's between Barbara Boye and some.
How do you spell? Boye, Kansas.
Boy.
Barbara Goolsby Boye is an American physician and politician.
Dude, you missed it.
She is a candidate for U.S. senator.
Oh, okay.
But she is currently a Kansas state senator.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because her, like, obviously, like, Kansas is a like red state, so for her to get the vote, it's so funny. There's this commercial and come on, and it was like this old man in a cowboy hat. And he's like, "I've been a Republican my whole life. I always voted Republican, but this election I'm voting for Barbara Boye." And blah blah blah. Like, like she's trying to get the like, come on. I know I'm a Democrat, but
it's because you're trying. What she's trying to do is swing those middle ground people over to over. That's why there's always like it's the battleground states. You have to pull some of these people that are on the fringe of the other side over to your side.
Right. Do you think and not even really like I guess you could say I think most people of our generation from mine to yours to maybe like people in their 30s and maybe people who are just getting in their 40s I people who are like in the middle politically, like I guess socially, people who are like actually like kind of like they have a fucking brain on them in the middle, like socially and politically. I wonder if like because you always kind of hear who is the middle losing to, like who are they going to lose to? You know what I mean? Like who? Like I remember what's his face?
Saying what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Elon Musk was like the left is losing the middle to the right.
Oh, yeah, right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Do you
because the left is too far left, and they're going to the right because it's too like they're too radically left. Yeah.
Do you think that's true though? Do you think the middle is kind of aiming more? It's hard for us to say because of how we grew up, right? But like, I mean, you've been around the nation and stuff like that, so you can kind of see like, is people who are generally the middle really losing to the right, or are they just really in the middle and it's like whatever? Because some people, I feel like maybe a person in the middle in New York would lean left, right?
But yeah, in places like in the eastern, like I feel like in the eastern quadrants of the U.S., eastern quadrant, like very far east, or the coast is what I mean. Mm-hmm. You got New York, you got L.A. Anybody there is going to be like very left, but if they're middle of the road, they're like middle left. You know, they're not. I don't know, like, and here's the problem too, and like people never, and this is why I always say like, I have no idea what the right answer is, because like when I think about stuff, I think about stuff in like snapshots of time as well as snapshots of like the environment, right? And so like if you think about a science experiment, right, you got to think of like all these variables, right? And so like I don't know what the average was. Like normally what you do, like you take the average and then you like compare that to like the new average. So like if you're saying, things are way more like polarized on the left now than they were before, right? You have to say like, okay, 15, 20 years ago, here's like where they stood. Here's like the average of where they stood. And then you compare that to like the average of where they stood now. And if it's like a lot further, like a lot more drastic viewpoints or whatever. The problem that I have is I'm looking through it of the lens of like how old I was, where I was in the country, and the time of all of that happening, like all wrapped up in one. So like honestly, I don't know. What I honestly feel, I don't know if either one is more to the right or to the left. What I do know is it feels like things are a lot more polarized, and I feel like it's a lot more polarized because of the advent of social media.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I feel like people are like we just have we have over communication. We have like just too many tools to like talk to people.
Not in the right way, right?
Yeah, and it's not like it. Like when you and I are talking, right? Like you can see the way like I'm using my hands. There's like some body language to it, right? There's like the tonality, how I'm saying it, and there's impression that you get off of that of what I mean by the objective text that's coming out of my mouth.
But if I read a transcript or whatever, or a dialogue of like,
it can seem a lot different.
Yeah,
it can seem a lot different,
or
right?
Vice versa. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah. And so like right there, what I just said, like it can seem a lot different. Pause. It could seem a lot different, right? I'm like trying to like, yeah, it's different, but like in a text that's like right next to each other, you don't have that timing effect in there, right? You know what I mean? And so
no, 100%.
It's I don't know. We talk too much. I can't even get on Twitter anymore, dude. Because like
Facebook is awful.
Literally all of it is, and I never felt like it was up until now. Because like I just feel like there's literally nothing on there that is like literally everything is a dumpster fire of a conversation. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right. So, well, and that's the thing is like I don't know. I also think like one of the things with like, and not getting too political here, but like if Biden won, I was like, well, at least people would chill the fuck out, and there wouldn't be so people wouldn't be so divided because I always felt like well, maybe not, but I don't know because I remember in 2016 when Trump got elected. Not even when Trump got elected, when Trump was running and it was down to the wire between Hillary and Trump, especially going to a drama school. Like it was like, you piece of shit white male. I'm like, dude, I can't even vote. Like, what did I do? And I remember like, dude, where mom worked and like, I used to hang out with the kids over there, like around like Ty and all that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, and then in my middle school, like it was like, I mean, I hung out with Mexicans and black people and shit all the fucking time. And I never even thought of like the division of like, you could joke around with each other and stuff like that. It never got serious. It never got, it went, I remember I went to a party and we went into the door. We went into the door and it was like me and like my group of friends. And this mom was like, what the fuck are all these white people doing here? I was like, what the fuck? I was like, dude, I've been to a million Mexican homes in my life and I've never heard that come out of anyone's mouth. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, it's cool as long as you're not a Trump supporter. I was like, okay. And then we went downstairs and the party was downstairs. And my buddy, he's a real nice guy. He goes, hey, bro, I'm so sorry. My mom's she's, she's a little high strung, and I was like, all right,
Wait,
no,
was
dude,
she white or what
no,
was?
she was Hispanic, and his dad was
Oh,
black, so he was black and Hispanic. But
okay.
like I said, before that, I mean, we're like I said, where mom worked with her friends that came over and like the place.
Yeah,
Like I said, I've been to a million different fucking households that were black, Hispanic, whatever, and it's never been like fucking white people. Like, yeah, it's never been like that tense. But like, right, that was again, it was 2016 where the whole Trump and
that's where I
like
felt
if
like there
Trump
was the beginning of this
of that
very
or political war, that
yeah.
tension,
Well,
right?
yeah, not the beginning of it, but like the beginning of the peaking of the head of like where we're at right now, of like
Right,
things being at the most tense. You know what
right.
I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, and that's another thing with having a podcast. Like, obviously, I mean, I am like number 2 podcast in America right now. But besides that, no, just kidding. But
3 last week.
3 I have 106 subscribers, so it's kind of a big deal. But no, no. You're still talking to people. You're still on a level like this where you're having a long conversation about things and sharing different ideas. And like, you're not going to be married to your ideas, and you're going to talk like you're used to talking to people and stuff. And it's like in 2016, or even just before I did the podcast, I felt like I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say something in front of this person. I feel like they might get offended, and not even just about race, like anything. It could be anything. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like I feel like, but ever since I started the podcast, I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck it. If they get like, you have like. You're gonna offend somebody, like, because I'm not a fucking like. I mean, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a fucking
you don't have ill
homo.
intent.
I don't
Like you
have
don't
ill
have ill
intent.
intent.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not like a racist, homophobic. Like, anything I say is not meant to be like that. So if as long as and that's another thing that I think people don't realize when they're talking is like they're always, especially fucking white people, they're like, oh, I'm just scared to offend somebody and I'm gonna tip tap around the issue. It's like, dude, just fucking say how you feel, because then I guarantee you that person, no matter what, who, whatever they are, will understand better if you say it how you actually feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not one thing with having a podcast. It's like you say how you feel on a podcast, so you're so used to saying that. So no, so when you speak, it never comes out ill intent. So when I talk to people, for one, the fact that I'm not afraid to offend people, it like usually comes out naturally, and there's never like an actual argument. And people, most of the time, people never get offended by a disagreement when I'm talking or something like that. Whereas someone who's like sitting all day, like, yeah, this is the fucking right way. Like, this is the fucking, yeah, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? And they're dwelling it in their fucking head, like, yeah, no, that's how it's supposed to be. They don't share it with their friends. They don't tell anybody, and
Well,
they
it's
dwell
like
on it. And then when they speak in a conversation, and then when they figure out, okay, that might not be right, they get fucking pissed off, and they start screaming.
and they go
You know
even
what I mean?
further. They go
Yeah,
even
but further,
further
well, you know what? Fuck
into
you,
their
I'm fucking right, and you know what I mean. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah, there's a saying that I heard from a guy I used to work with, uh, and his name was Chris Crowell, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And there was a saying he said, and it's something that I've always believed, but it was like it was in my head like way. I always like I overcomplicate things. Like in my head, I'm like,
you just
you know,
didn't know how to say it in a
yeah,
significant sentence.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I know,
I do the
you
same
know this
thing.
thing. It's like I just don't know how to put it to words. But
Right.
what he told me was, um, uh, equally, uh, oh God, how does it go? See, now I'm gonna overcomplicate and screw it up.
Ah,
Um, well informed, equally informed, level-headed, equally informed people rarely disagree. Level-headed, equally informed people rarely disagree. So if you're all of like sane mind, you all have the same are all presented the same information,
right. Okay.
then you all will likely come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I think the big issue with like social media and like all these platforms, is like we have so much information over. We got email, we got Instagram, we got Snapchat, we got Facebook, we got Twitter, we got TikTok, we got Reels, we got, like, I'm gonna go down the list on the iTunes store. Like,
Yeah.
like you have, there's so many different things.
Right.
There's so many different like pieces of information, and everybody's getting different types of information and different levels of correct information, right? Um, it's it's just chaos.
Right.
It's just chaotic.
Right. Well, it also kind of goes with what you say about, like, it's how you say it. Like, because dude, in person, when people disagree, unless it's not a level-headed, like you just said, a level-headed person, when people disagree, they can calmly disagree, and then they understand each other, like, from what I see. But then when you make a status, people don't get the intent of what you're saying, so then they fucking flip out about it. You know what I mean? Like, they just see.
Yeah, I feel like people think that like uh when you write something, or like you have an opinion piece on Facebook, like a political thing, or like an inflammatory political a political thing, like you make a political post about an inflammatory topic, not necessarily that what you're saying is inflammatory, but like you say, this is what I believe, right? People see that as like you're throwing the stake in the ground, and like you're trying to read, like you're trying to change the manuscript of the Bible. Like, this is the way it is.
Right.
And then people feel like they have to, because you've put this out there so staunchly, that they have to inform you, or like fight you to the, I don't know what, I don't know what it is, but everybody's like, oh, this fucking idiot, like, let me educate him,
Right, hold on.
It's,
go into the comment section, like,
hold on a second, let me get out Wikipedia.
Dear Mister. Actually, you look at fucking. Have you ever seen that Bill Burr? He's like, I fucking hate statistics. They're so fucking stupid. Like, you just go to imright.com. You see some shit that lines up with your idea. Then you say it to someone, and then it's all of a sudden correct. Like,
Actually, to a 2016 study done by the.
Yeah, well, he's talking about getting a gun. And he's like, well, because he's like, if someone he's like, fuck you with your stats saying, when I get a gun, oh, I'm 60% more likely to shoot myself. Well, no fucking shit. If you have a swimming pool, you're more 60% likely to drown. He's like, what am I going to shower with it? He's like going like this. He's like, what am I going to fucking shower with it? That's fucking great. But it's true, though,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What is it? Was that on his like recent?
No, it wasn't the recent. It was like I don't think it's a black and white one. I think it's the one that's like he's still bald. It's like the one before Paper Tiger.
Yeah, whatever the black and white one, I did not like.
I think it was in like. Yeah, it was like in Tennessee or something, or maybe it was the one before that one. Yeah, one of them I wasn't.
I know what you're talking about. I remember that bit.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. But yeah, it's true. Everyone goes to fucking imright.com, and that's the one thing with people who are I'm going to say most of the time from what I've seen is far left, but any people from far right do it too. Like especially family members that I know, they like to, statistically, you blah blah blah, and they talk about some, they talk about something that's gonna go with their idea about marijuana, and something, what I mean, just to prove their point. So they do it too, but from like from my standpoint of like talking with people, there's been so many, and even in that Ben Affleck thing that I was telling you, and I hear it so much, it's like, well, what source did you get that from? Motherfucker, what source do you get your shit from? You're babbling the same shit that I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, what source are you getting that from? Like, because he goes like, Sam Harris is like, well, 20% of, part of Islam. He's like, I'm actually being generous. It's actually 78, but I'm just going to say 20. He's like, what source are you getting that from? What? It's like, all right, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you are literally babbling too, but you're asking this guy to, you know.
Well, the other thing too is like what like really aggravates me is that like people are not well, you said it earlier, like people are married to their ideas. Like they feel like when they say something, it's just like to say this dude, when we were talking about the Oregon thing, like you got to try these little experiments to figure out what works, right? Like what works best. You have to be willing to like fail. Like, maybe this thing in Oregon, maybe it works out fantastic. And it's like, that's the way we should be approaching it everywhere else, right?
Do a little bit of math, you can do a little bit of math.
Or maybe it's gonna like horribly fail, right? Yeah. But the thing is like you can change it. People feel like you can't change. Like you can't change your you can't change your opinion. You know what I mean? Like people think that once you set your opinion, you can't change it, or like maybe they feel that way. Like maybe deep down they know that they can change their opinion, but when they're in the heat of an argument, they don't want to change their opinion because they don't want
to be wrong.
Wrong, right? So that's the thing, is people aren't vulnerable enough to change, to be open to changing their opinion, or just even being open to having a conversation. It's like your mind is made up as you go into the conversation, or you go into the debate or argument, and all you're doing is just trying to like pull at threads.
You just want to win. You just want to win instead of trying to learn something. Yeah, I was and that's it. Well, another thing too is like I'm guilty of this too, because I argue with this kid all the time, and I do it on purpose because I think it's funny. But sometimes I'll just disagree to piss him off. But like, but there was one thing that I was like kind of strong about, and usually I'm kind of like whatever, you know. But it's also like the tone, like, you know, go back to the Sam Harris thing. He's like, look, no, this is like, he's saying it just like how we're talking. Mm-hmm. And then after we're fucking all fucking pissed off and shit. And I've done that. Right. When I've done that too, where I'm like really strong. Cause like, we were talking about like the whole policy of the taxing the 60% to the 1%. And I was like, at first I was like, we're just trying to learn or whatever. But the person I was arguing with was making it hard to have the cut. He was already heated. It made me heated. And I shouldn't have been like that, because when I talked to someone else, it escalated quickly. but when I talked to someone else about it, like I kind of was like, dude, fuck, like we're talking to two different people. He explained to me like really like how it works, and I was like, okay, that makes more sense. And I was willing to be like, even though I just fucking kind of freaked out right there for a minute.
Level-headed people, equally informed, rarely disagree.
Right. Exactly. Well, and see, that's the thing, is like we were talking about the 60%. I was like, dude, that's fucking stupid, because, you know, A, B, and C would have, you know, I'm saying like, you know, wouldn't that make, if you tax, for example, a company 60%, wouldn't that make higher? You'd have to raise your prices, you'd have to cut hours, layoffs, etc. They're like, no, that's not how it works. It's on a slope. And I was like, well, I'm retarded, so I don't know. Like, they're like, well, think of M equals X slope, or, you know, and they're like, or Y equals M slope, whatever the fuck we used to do. But basically explaining like, so, because I was like talking about, okay, so
you're talking about the tax system,
right? The tax, yeah. I said, well, okay, so the 1% is actually 421. I said 400,000, right? And they're like, no, it's not. I said, yes, it is. Look it up. And then they looked it up, and they weren't willing to admit it. And then when we got into our conversation, I was like, did you look it up? And they're like, yeah, you were right. I'm like, okay, so if you're taxing people 60% of 400,000, like, what is that? That's still like taking a lot of their money, and that kind of seems like bullshit. They're like, well, no, they would 400 if you made 400,000.
It's a progressive, that the tax, like you're not taxed 60% on 400,000. You're only taxed 60% on between the 200 and 400,000 or something.
Yeah, like it's actually, yeah, right. So it's actually like if you were like maybe like Jeff Bezos, you'd be taxed like 60%. And the way they're explaining it, they were like, no, calm down. It's not, because I was like, I don't think it's a good idea. They're like, I think it's a good idea, because like if you're Jeff Bezos, yeah, you'd be taxed 60%. But if you were making like 400,000 or whatever a year, you wouldn't actually be taxed 60%. You'd be taxed for like 15 or 20 because of the slope and all that. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
What's called the effective tax rate.
All right.
But yeah, so technically, even though you're making $400,000 a year, when it averages out, you're like on the first $100,000 you make, you're taxed 15% on that $100,000, and then on the next hundred, between $100,000 and $200,000, that next $100,000, not $200,000, but the next $100,000, you're taxed 18% on that.
Right.
And then on the next 100 that you make between that and 300, it's 22% or what, you know what I mean? Like,
right,
and,
for sure.
And so as it all evens out, yeah, you're paying over, you're paying, you know, a lot more taxes, but you're not paying 60% on the whole enchilada.
Right, exactly, which seem ridiculous. And that's another thing is like when people talk about that, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I 100% agree. Like, you know, if you're richer, you should pay more taxes than, you know, someone who's like middle class or, you know, poor, or, you know, in the poverty line, right? But like, if, you know, like, I was watching this documentary on Bill Gates the other day. And, you know, everyone gives him shit like he's a fucking asshole. And I mean, he could be. I mean, I'm sure he has a bunch of like Asian kids making his fucking phones and shit and his computers and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or whatever, but like I said, you should have signed a contract before you got on. But no, but like in the documentary, he was like making what was it? He was like making basically like a plumbing system for and paying for it with his own money, like for kids in
Well,
Africa
he has
and
a
stuff like that.
competition. They have a competition. It was a so that you had like a sewage system, like
Sewage system, right?
for
Without the pipes and shit like that, right?
without the infrastructure with it,
Yeah.
because like in Africa they don't have like the piping that we have here, where it's
Right.
like there's one pipe and all the other pipes connect into it and stuff like that. They don't have that type of infrastructure. So there was so what I think what they do is every year they do they have a competition, and so it's like these groups of people compete, and then they I don't know if it's every year or maybe like because they'll put out like, okay, there's $100 million prize or whatever if you make the best thing or whatever whatever it is. But yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about, because they're trying to make it to where they could set up those like basically like toilets, where like you didn't have the waste come off of it in Africa, because all the waste goes into the fresh water that they drink.
So I guess he wasn't really doing it out of the kindness of his heart. He was doing it to put his nuts on the table and say, like, I could do this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm rich and I'm smart and I'm Bill Gates. I can win.
Well, what makes you think? Wait, like what part of that makes you say that?
Well, because he didn't do. I thought he just was like, well, you know what? They don't have a fucking plumbing system. I'm gonna help them out because I got this money. But or did he make that whole thing? Like, did he make up that bet to help it out?
No. He was the one who said, "Here's $100 million."
Oh, okay. I thought he
team.
would win. Okay, now
No.
That makes sense.
He wouldn't win it. He was the one who was
so he
paying
was.
the prize.
So he was doing it like out of the kindness of his heart. Well, but that's the thing is like, okay, so back to what I was saying with that is like, you kind of need like people like, you know, what's his Bernie Sanders say there shouldn't be billionaires, but like if you have billionaires like that, like a guy like that, he is able to do good stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know what I mean?
But it's up to him to decide.
Right, because he could be an asshole and just store away his money, right? Yeah.
Right. The other thing too, people don't realize is that like when you talk about Jeff Bezos, right, and you're like, oh, Jeff Bezos is worth, how much is he worth? Like 100 billion? Or
I think he's way more than that. I'm pretty sure he's way more.
Well, how much is Jeff
like net worth?
It's a lot. 182 billion. Okay. But the thing people don't realize is that when they say like, "Oh, Jeff Bezos is worth $182 billion a year," it's not like he's not getting paid like $10 billion a year. Like he's not getting paid $10 billion a year from Amazon. Like they're not just like cashing him a check. Whenever you talk about somebody's net worth, a lot of that like wealth is like tied up in the like literally in the worth and stock and asset of the company.
Right.
Right.
Like
It's
what
not
they own and shit like
right.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like he has $182 billion just like
Sitting
sitting
in his
down at
bank.
the US bank.
Yeah, and
Right.
he's just like fucking chipping away at it.
Right.
Like, yep,
Yeah.
we're
No,
making
it's
dent,
just
baby.
right. It's not. Yeah. And that's the stuff that I don't think people realize too. And you know, like just talking about your tax situation
Mm-hmm.
or tax conversation too
Mm-hmm.
is like uh the other thing people don't realize when they talk about these people that are really rich, or like you talk about CEOs, right? And they're like, well, they only paid. Okay, well, there's two facets to this. They only paid X amount of taxes. They only
Mm-hmm.
paid, and I paid 30% or whatever, or like they hit you didn't pay 30%, but you probably hit the 30% mark because you made whatever, and only literally like
Right.
5,000 of it was taxed at 30%.
Right.
But the thing is like the way that a lot of these big executives get paid is in company stock.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they get money is by selling that stock.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between taxes when you sell something for capital gains versus it being an income.
Right.
So for capital gains, if you hold on, there's two, well, essentially two capital gains taxes, long and short term. So if you hold on to something and it increases in value, like say a house, right? Like you bought a house that was $100,000, and then it goes up and it's $150,000, and you're like, I want to like cash out now, right? Like I want to get that $50,000 in profit to me,
Right.
right? You're selling it for more than what you purchased it for. If you sell it before a year, you get taxed at 40%,
Mm-hmm.
short-term capital gains tax. Now, if you buy a house for $100,000 and it goes up to $150,000, same thing. So we're talking about the same math problem.
Mm-hmm.
You hold on to it and sell it over a year, you get taxed 15%.
Right.
So the way a lot of these people are getting paid is through stocks, which are considered assets, which are taxed through capital gains, not taxed through income tax, like W-2, like when you get paid by Target or when you get paid by whoever your company is. They're just like two different taxing systems. The other thing too is rich people, they do things with their money to decrease their tax bill. And that's a function of the US tax code. You're not cheating the system because it's a law.
Right.
It's
Okay.
a law. It's like people say, well, the problem is that I know I can pay someone who knows all the tax laws so they can do things with my money to protect my money.
Right. Right. Exactly. Which is kind of like, well, if I knew how to do it, I would do it too. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But the problem is, and here's the argument for the poor people. And when I say poor people, it's like I mean like even me.
Right.
I don't have the money to pay like 5 accountants to figure
To
out how
do that, yeah.
to do that
To have a
for myself.
loophole. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like it's like I'm gonna be fucking rich at the end of this year.
right.
Yeah,
But the
for
thing
sure.
too is like the entire point of like these tax laws and these tax loopholes is there incentives for you to do things with the with that money,
To
like the
go back
government,
into your company to
right, to
help things
do
out too.
things that
Right.
are positive economically. But
Right. Pay your workers more benefits, expanding and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, it's you're doing something. It's not like for example, like when you buy a home, like if you buy a house like as a rental property, right?
Mhm.
You can depreciate all the expenses that go along with that property against your income tax.
Right.
So basically, you make it look like your income is a lot lower because of all the expenses that are going along with that's like the mortgage, how much you paid for like renovation type stuff, uh, anything that goes along with that, which really you're not technically losing money, but on paper you're losing money. But you're doing something good that's contributing to like economic activity. You're purchasing a home, which the real estate market is one of the engines that keeps the economy
Economy going,
going.
right?
So it's an
Yeah.
incentive that the government puts out there
Hmm.
for people to do things like we're not going to tax you on this because we want you to do this. We want it's
Hmm.
a it's a here's a cookie for doing something that we want you to do. And that's
Right.
what I don't think people realize. That's the entire point of the tax code.
Hmm. Wow. I think a lot of people. I think this is good because then a lot of people, especially like my age, could like go through this and be like, "Oh, okay." Because like when I, when I have conversations about that, obviously, like I mean, even like I understand better that you explain it. But don't even like you'll never. I don't won't fully get it until
Mhm.
you like really get into it, right? Which is
Yeah.
one of those, right? Which is like, you know, I feel like I mean they're not going to teach us that through school. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it seems like they never. It's almost like taboo to learn about business and taxes and stuff like that. And even in, I would say, even in like in elementary school, like just starting off at like really small. You know what I mean? Like okay, let's figure out
Like
how to
financial
balance a
literacy.
checkbook. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
start that. So like I always feel like if you started that really young at a really young age, because like right now I would be honest, I could probably like if you put a fucking equation up, I could do an algebra equation. I might not get it right, but I
Hmm.
could do it.
Right.
I know the formula, PIMDOS, and all that bullshit because I took the steps to do it all the way, K through 12, right?
Right.
So it's like if you would be taught a business class or some, financial, like you said, literature like that, like just all the way up until you graduate high school. When you get out, you would have a better understanding of, okay, well, I want to start a business or just like that, the
Well,
the
it's
whole
it's
tax
like
system and stuff like
there's things that like a lot of people tell you that they should be taught. And it's like like the meme is like I know differential equations, but I don't know like how the fuck does it how do how do I pay taxes? Like
that.
like
Right.
and so it's like there's almost like even like in high school there should be like a which I almost feel like there kind of is and or was
There is. I took one
like
of like how to do taxes, balance a checkbook, and stuff
yeah,
like
well,
that.
I mean, like take for example, like cooking, right? Or like
Mhm.
what family and consumer sciences, right? That was like
Mhm.
facts class, right? I remember because I didn't take one in high school, but I remember in middle school when I was at Antioch,
Mhm.
I did facts, and they teach you like sewing and like cross stitching, and then
Right,
like there
shit
was a
like
segment
that.
on cooking, right? And then there was like a whole on cooking class, right? Um, there's nowhere else. Like there's things like I just like kind of remember from those classes that like
Right,
kind
that
of
you could
helped me
use it.
today. Right.
Right.
That I use today. And like you think about it and you're like, well, I'm going to school and like we're gonna bake a cinnamon rolls or something, you know what I mean? But you're like, oh, that's actually like kind of useful because I do like I like cinnamon rolls.
I like cinnamon rolls. My homie got shot, and now I gotta stitch the bro up. I gotta stitch him up. And then here's a cinnamon roll, bro.
Right.
I took
Right.
facts.
Yeah. Well, it's like yeah, it's almost it's like yeah, it's like there's a don't know what I want to say. Like, okay, here's a good example. And hold on real quick. Let me yell at Caden because he needs to go get in the shower here.
We are brought to you by Best Buy. I'm blue, ba da dee da da dum, but da da dee da da doo da da dee da da dum. I guess he could hear me.
I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, he normally goes and takes a shower right around this time. Here's a really good example of that. We talk about the financial literacy thing, and like that's always the thing is like, oh, taxes. Like how do I pay taxes or whatever? But how to like budget? Like how do you budget? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, and that's really big when you get out of high school and go to college too. It's
huge.
Like,
People don't.
Now I'm on my own, and
especially now, like it seems like people. I just feel like that's one of the motifs of society is like people are just like, well, I'm broke and I don't know where my money went, and it's like.
When you go to fucking Starbucks every morning and get
right,
$20 worth of shit,
and so like here's an example, like even from my life, right? So like when I got out of college, and I'm not talking about budgeting necessarily during during college, because like that was a very simple one. It was like,
right, when people still
$300. I have $300. I can spend $30 at Aldi, and I can buy like the really cheap beer, and I can maybe go to Kyoto this weekend. Like, right. But then I really need that $20 for gas, you know, like.
Right, exactly.
So, but like when you get out and you're in you have a full-time job, right? Mm-hmm. And people are talking about like, so like this is the next level. Like when people are in real life, you know, like they're gonna buy a home. People don't understand, or people don't know how to figure out how much of a home they can buy.
Right.
You know what I mean? They think like, oh, it's like the payment is this much, but it's like there's a lot more that goes into it than just that, you know. And like people say like, okay, like the way they think about it is like, I make $2,000 a month, and so the payment's $1,200, so yeah, I can afford that, you know. Like it's not well, it's like, oh, wait a second, like there's a lot more, like you need a lot more money, like a lot more buffer room in there.
That's probably like, it's like when people talk about going to debt like after college or paid off dues. Well, that's also like people go to debt for biting off more than they can chew because they don't
and that's
understand.
What happens. That's what happens more times than not, is that people don't plan ahead. They don't plan ahead, or they don't, and this sounds even stupid, life plan, you know, to the where they like the people are too caught up in like, I want it now, or like, you know, thinking about like let's just use the example of buying a home. Somebody's like, okay, I want to buy a house, and they sit there and they think about it and they realize, oh, I have to have a 20% down payment. Mm-hmm. If you buy $100,000 home, which if you can find $100,000 home in a really nice neighborhood, where are you living? That's $20,000. So you have to save $20,000 to buy that home. Right. Now, you don't have to have that. You don't have to necessarily have that, because you can technically, with other types of loans, so typically when you buy a home, I don't know if you know this or not, so this is why I'm saying it. Typically when you buy a house, and I'm not saying that because to be a dick, I'm just
no, I don't know. That's why I'm listening.
So typically when you buy a home, and you're gonna have
I got 5 homes, bitch. What are you talking about?
Typically when you're gonna buy a house, and you go to the bank to get a loan, or get a home loan, a mortgage, they want you to put down 20%. 20% of, like, if you're buying the house and it's $100,000, you have to put down $20,000, right? And then your loan payment is, $1,200 for the next 30 years, typical 30-year mortgage. You don't have to do that because there are other types of loans where you only have to put down like say 3.5%, an FHA loan. You only have to put down 3.5%. But the caveat with with that type of loan is that you have to pay what's called PMI, private mortgage insurance. So because you haven't put down a bunch of money, like you're not vested in the home, right? You have to pay an extra $200 or $300 a month for the length of your loan payment. Right. That's not going towards the interest. That's not paying the interest or the principal of the loan you just got. That's just free money. You're just like given to the bank because you didn't give them, you didn't put down as much money because, and so it's like you're just lighting that cash on fire. You know what I mean? Like that $300 is just poof. Right. So, but people don't like people are so caught up in the like, I want to buy a home, I want it now deal. You know what I mean? To where and they're going to waste a shit ton of money. They're going to have a payment that is way more than what they can actually afford.
Right. No, you're right. Cause it's like, when you look at it, it's like, well, I would rather have enough money when I'm, 36, 37 to have a really fucking nice home.
Right.
Versus have 3 shitty homes or 2 shitty ass homes that I'm in debt because of or whatever. You know what I mean? I bit off more than I could chew.
Well, it's people they're unwilling to wait. Like,
right.
You are like, okay, I want to buy a home, and you're renting somewhere. You think like, okay, well, I have to put down. It's much better to be like, it's much better to have some buffer room, like save yourself money and not put yourself in a like compromised position.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then what happens if you lose your job? You know what I mean? What happens if, I don't know, like there's a fucking pandemic and your business gets shut down, or the business that you work at is forced to go down for 4 weeks. So there's a whole, I can get up on a tangent, soapbox on budgeting. But that's like one of the things, like when I came out of school, I was like, what was happening was, when I was living with my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah. What?
And then when I was when I moved after she went back to Wichita, and I moved into like a studio that was like super cheap because I was traveling a lot. I was saving a shit ton of money. And I was just like, I just had this money that was just like in my bank account, and I was like, I don't know, like, I was afraid to spend my money on stuff because I was like, I don't know, like, I don't want to buy a bunch of stuff and then later down the road be like, oh shit, like, I don't have any money. You know what I mean? Like, I get into a bind. Like, for example, like maybe I had to move home real quick or something, and that costs a lot of money to do. So I did a lot of reading myself and was like, okay, how do I, like, I need a plan of like how much money do I save? How much money do I spend on this? How much do I spend on that? And so I got super deep into that, and I'm like very disciplined.
Right. Well, but that's even a good thing because you think about it. You're out of college and you, like, obviously you knew like the gist of it, but you still weren't like fully. You didn't fully have it until you were like in that situation where you're like, well, I'm in a studio saving money. I'm traveling for my job, and it's like, well, I want a house, but now's obviously not the good time because of A, B, and C.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, at the time I was like, well, like, one, I'm up here by myself. 2, I'm traveling a bunch, and like I was very cheap. I was like, I just can't justify spending like $1,200 a month on an apartment where I'm not like you're not there the entire day during the week. And then I'm even more not there if I'm traveling for work.
Right.
So I'm there like, and I would work on weekends too, traveling. And so, I'd be gone for 10 days straight.
Right.
It's like,
do you like kind of side note here? Do you miss like traveling a lot for your job, or are you kind of like done with that, or what?
I will say, so here's what I don't miss. I don't miss having to travel, come back home, and either 3 to 7 days later having to go and travel again.
Right.
I don't miss
routine,
that.
out of routine, and routine, out of routine, right?
Your life is just like topsy turvy. Like you can't plan, and that's the other big problem that I always dislike too, is like you can't plan shit in advance because you're like, I might have to go here, I might have to go here, and I won't know if I'm going until like 3 weeks beforehand, or And so that was it just always used to piss me off. And then here's the other crappy thing too, when you're traveling a bunch, is like, you eat out literally every single meal, right? So when you get home, you're like, I just want to stay at home. Like I don't want to like go out. And that was a big problem for me too, because like, one, I'm in Minnesota, right? I didn't grow up in Minnesota. All my friends are back in Kansas City, or like thrown across Kansas, where we grew up. And I like, the only way to go out and like either meet girls or meet friends is like to go out with people. Well, when I would get home, I'm just like, my energy level was like at a 1.
Right.
And so I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to the bar or anything. Like, I'll go here and have a beer and then go home. So I do not miss that. I do miss seeing new places. I do miss that a bit, because the one good thing is like, when you do travel for work, is that it's like, it's I don't know, it just throws a little spice into throws a little spice.
You're not settled down. You're kind of cowboying around and shit.
Yeah, right? You're kind of doing. It's not the same thing literally every single day. You know what I mean? It's like you're going different places and trying different stuff, and I don't know. I'm very thankful that I got the opportunity to do this. Because I mean, I've been from Key West to Portland, Oregon, to Portland, Maine, down to Phoenix. And so I've been to, and that's a saying I use all the time, but I've been to, literally like every corner of the US.
Right.
And
not like, I would say probably 70% of people don't get that at all.
Right. A lot of people are not able to do that.
Right.
They don't get that opportunity to go see other places. And like, you and I didn't travel like that, when we were younger. So
Kansas, a little bit of the South. That's it.
Yeah. We're going to Galveston,
Yeah.
like, which is like, Galveston is cool, but like,
right. That was
it's
probably
not
the
like,
coolest of of our childhood that we got.
yeah, but it's not like we went to Galveston one year and we went to LA and then we went to Seattle and then we went to it's like, that's just like not what we did. We went to like the Ozarks and
right. All the fucking rich kids went to like Disney World and shit. And I was like, man, I want to go.
Right. Yeah, and
I want to see Florida.
Yeah, and I'd say the lion's share majority of people, like, that's not their life.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah, I'd like to get around and try. Yeah.
I'd like to get out there.
I like to get out there a bunch.
Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
What do you think? What's your favorite place that you've seen that was like new?
My favorite place, God, I don't know. I'll tell you the best place that I ever went was Key West.
Key
Because
West.
I went to Key West for a staff meeting.
Where's that?
And that
What's
was
that?
that's in Florida.
Oh, that's in Florida. Florida
Yeah,
Keys.
yeah, way down, and that was so fun. The other cool thing too is like I say when we had these offsite staff meetings and stuff.
Mm.
My boss was very generous of as far as like we do have meeting time, but like we've built in time too where it's like get out and go see, like you're in this place, take the opportunity to go see the sites and experience the location, while we're here. And so he was always, he always preached to me, even like when I wasn't doing that just for a staff meeting, but just like traveling in general, like always bake in some time for you to kind of go see stuff or, experience
Right.
stuff. So anyway, so like when I was in Key West, we did this tour of Key West and we went to all these different, we went to Ernest Hemingway's house.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. Um, we went out to what's Duval Street. That's like the big like party street in Key
Right.
West.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really like, so like for the most part, I was out east.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I was going to like Indiana. I was going to like South Bend area. But I mean, I would go to New Jersey. I'd go to New York. I'd go to Pennsylvania.
What's the worst place you think out of all the places? It's just like fuck this place. Philadelphia.
I was not a big fan of Philly and Baltimore. Those are probably the two places that I went that I was just like, "Ooh,"
Yeah, you just didn't enjoy your time there.
yeah, it's just like it seemed like the Northeast, the northeastern part of the United States. It's an older part of the country, right?
Mm.
And there's so much more people. Like there's so much more population. It's just like
Right.
such a different way of life than like what you and I are used to, as far as like
Right.
it's slower. There's a lot more space between things. It's just I
Right.
don't know.
Right. For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's like the one place that I really want is just the East Coast, just to see what it's like and how it that is. Let's see what it's like and how the people are and how much different they are and shit like that. Yeah.
It's a different way of life. So
100%.
let's talk about you so that you don't doze off.
Oh no, I'm really not tired. My body's just fucking tired because I woke up. I've been trying to wake up like 4 hours before work, like do some sprints. Um,
I thought you worked like super early.
Not anymore at my new job.
Wait, did you quit Target?
Yeah, I can say I worked at Target now. I don't say where I work currently, but just because um,
Didn't you just earlier?
but we weren't recording when I said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So with Target, I could say fuck Target all day because I'm not for. But
Gotcha. So wait, when did you start that though?
this week.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, so like what time? So okay, we'll talk after this because I'm
Yeah,
wondering like what you're doing.
yeah. Well, so I work 10
Is
to.
it is it is it wait, is it
Well, you can
similar
say
to what you did? Is it
no,
similar to
not
what you
at the
did
other
before?
place.
Yeah.
Kind of. I'm not on a forklift. I'm just unloading boxes. Which I know there's a lot of places like that, and it's over. Well, I won't say where it's at, but basically I'm just unloading boxes. I already got picked. Like there was like 8 people in our room, and me and Tanner were in there, and they go, hey, can you guys like finish this little quiz? Everyone else do this quiz. So we finished the quiz. Like, hey, you guys are out on the floor. They said, hey, you guys did a really good job yesterday unloading because you just unload on a conveyor belt, and it's like they're like when you they're like you guys did a really good job, so better than everyone else. So we're just gonna start you guys. You guys are already done with training. We're like, okay, cool. And I was
Really
like,
good at getting these boxes off this belt
yeah,
here.
well, it was so funny. Well, me and Tanner were like, God, dude, we're so used to because we were working together. We're like, we've been so used to being bitched at by our other jobs that
Yeah.
like they came over and they looked pissed off. We're like, fuck. And they came over, they're like, good job, guys. This is you did really fast. They did them really fast. We're like, oh, thank you. And so we did that. So we started like it depends with 10:30. I've been start for training. It's like 11, but now since I'm already done with training, it's 10:30, and we don't go past. I think I get off every day around 2, but we won't go past 3:30. Um, so it's about 10:30 to 3:30. So think around that time. So I kind of get up around 7 and kind of
So
get
then, wait,
up.
how many hours a week are you getting though?
I guess it varies, but I think at least. So what is that? At least like 6 hours. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hello.
He said hi.
Hi.
Here.
Oh, that's cool. I was sitting in it.
Hey, why don't you grab that and then go read, please? So anyway, yeah, how many hours a week are you getting?
So that's what's 6 times 7 is
42.
42. Hey.
Math.
Math. So around there. Think around there.
Kind of. I'll show you later.
So yeah, so around 42. Yeah, and anything after your 5th hour, I think. Well, because like anything after 6 hours, really. But if they say 5th hour, because you could be like.
So
5
you working
hours.
7 days a week?
No, oh, I guess not 7. I'm stupid. Why did I say 7? I guess so. Think 7 times 5, or 6 hours times 5, so 30 hours, about 30. Yeah, sorry, I've been awake all day. So yeah, so no, yeah. But anything after your 6 hours, so once you hit your 6 hour after that, it is time and a half. So, and they're like, it's peak season.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so it's cool. It's an easy job. You just unload, which they were like, dude, you guys got the best deal because loading sucks. And I was like, yeah.
I know. So wait, okay, so then is that just seasonal work or is it not?
Well, it's like you get 30 days, but as long as you don't fuck
Screw
off,
up,
miss a day,
then
miss a day of work, and
okay.
you're hired. And it's a $350 bonus, um, just for showing up for a whole year.
Oh.
You get that. So on
So
top of what you make, you get $350 every week, and you get paid weekly. So it's pretty cool deal.
So okay, cool. Are you getting paid more than Target?
Yeah, 100%. Because Target would only schedule me maybe 4 days, and I'd only get like
Well, I mean on an hourly
5
basis.
hours.
On an hourly
No,
rate.
no, I get paid less. I get paid $14.50. Target I was making 15,
That's
and then
close. Yeah.
but it's really close. But I'm getting more hours, and I can
Yeah.
make time and a half, and it's consistent. Because some weeks I wouldn't get money, or some weeks I wouldn't get hours, and some weeks I would. So one paycheck would be like, every 2 weeks it could be $800, or it could be like 400 or 300, and it's like, geez,
Right.
it's like, okay, well, what the
You
fuck?
can't deal with that instability. You can't.
Yeah. Whereas every week I'm getting nearly $600, and it's like, okay, well, this is pretty nice. I could put this here, put this money here, but yeah. So me and Tanner just been, and they have a shuttle bus, but I don't. It's because it's over in Edgerton. So I would like. I understand. Like, I would like to take the bus, I guess, but not really because I don't want to rely on it. The bus has been late like every fucking day. So I've been hanging out with because me and Tanner hang out. So I go to Tanner's apartment and I kind of chill there before work, and then we just trade off a ride, which is awesome because there's this really white trash bitch who lives above him, and the walls are like paper thin. I've been waiting to tell you this. Like this is the most interesting thing that's been going on in my life is listening to this white trash bitch get fucked and do coke upstairs. Like, literally, dude. One night I spent the night at Tanner's, and this chick is like, uh, is is fucking calling her boy. She has like 5 different dudes like through the week. Now it's just one guy. We call him Hippie Timmy. Now we found out his name's Scott, but it's Hippie Tim. We call him Hippie Timmy. There's Wigga Wayne because Wigga Wayne, and then there's Kyle because he looks like a fucking Kyle. Like he looks chin strap and everything. And so Hippie Timmy's been around, lately. But today, okay, let me get to it. So, we literally hear them just sniffing coke upstairs, and they're talking about doing coke, like because they're talking about it. And dude, this bitch is like, she's like 100 and maybe, I mean, she's like Danny's size, right? But like,
yeah, small.
She stops around. Like, dude, we're like, holy shit! This bitch acts like walks like she's 300 pounds. Like we could hear her, and it's just like this chick's crazy. And one night, I guess her boyfriend didn't come home, and I know, like, dude, and this chick is nasty, and he is like, I'm not lying, he's a pretty good looking dude. So I don't know what he's doing. I know he has other girlfriends because so what happened was she's called him. She's like, "Where are you, my love? Where are you? Where are you?" She's like, "Where the fuck are you?" Like flipping on a dime. And then she kept calling him, "My love, come here. I have drugs. I have drugs. Please come here." And me and Tanner, like, we're in the hallway just like listening. Oh, this bitch is crazy. And she's like,
what apartment complex is this?
The one by North, Brownstone. Yeah, those
those
ones,
are.
yeah. Well, okay, his is pretty nice. Like his specific, like his where he lives, like his apartment, like his room,
Like
is
his unit is nice.
really nice.
Yeah. They're speaking more to like.
But the day, the whole as a whole is not, and it's so funny because I mean, dude, this chick is nuts. Like she's just like, "Where are you, my love? My love, where are you?" She's like, "I have drugs. I have drugs." Like, where are you? Why are you there? She starts crying. She's going psycho. And then at one point in the conversation, she's on the phone. She's like, "Are you getting head? Are you getting head right now?" Starts crying. And the dude's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not." And I'm just like laughing. Well, and like we'll hear him fight all the time. Well, the one day we're the next day he comes, we're like, "Oh shit!" And this guy for like ever, we could hear him. We're playing video games. We could hear him like making up some dumbass story about where he was, and she's like, "Well, fuck these bitches. You're with me and all this. And she's just crazy." So, anyways, so this chick, what did she say? She goes, oh no, what happened was they start to fight, and then like me and Tanner hear something. We're like, "What the fuck is that?" So we go in the hallway, and this dude is slapping cheeks. We just hear, "Oh, daddy, oh!" They're just slapping cheeks. Well, okay, that's a lie. I went around to the because he has two doors. It's two doorways, two stairwells. He has a back door and there's two different. So I went in the back and I was listening to the conversation because we were listening. It was an interesting conversation. And we just hear him smack. All of a sudden, she's like, "Come make love to me," and we just hear him smacking cheeks. And we're like, "Whoa!" And I'm like calling Tanner, like, "Dude, fucking like listen, like get over here so you can listen to this." I go in, and he's in the other stairwell listening the same thing I'm listening to. So I come over, and we're listening. And what's funny is like they're like fucking just everything's fine. They're smacking cheeks. They're both moaning and shit. And then the guy goes, "Hey, can you go up and down? Don't like, go like, can you go up it?" Because she's like riding him. And she goes, I'm guessing, because she goes, "Come on, can you go up and down?" And she goes, "Oh, so you like it when I go up and down?" He's like, "Yeah, go up and down." She's like, okay. And then she starts to like moan, like she starts to like, because all the moans are like fake. Uh, and she's like, "You're making me insecure." And she's like, "What? What in the world?" And she gets off and just stomps away. And you can hear him. Like, you can literally hear.
How can you hear all of this going on?
The walls are paper thin, dude. They are paper thin. You can hear everything. And I feel bad for the old dude who lives next to these people. And at one point, he banged on their door, like, "Dude, shut the fuck up." And that's what happened.
Insane.
Oh, and before that, when we were listening to him fucking, because we went in the stairwell to hear it, because we could hear it clearly in there. And it was funny because they're like, "Ow, ow!" The guy goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that's just the funniest shit. I was like, "Oh, I can only imagine what just happened." But today there was 2 cops outside because we're like, yeah, and then he missed, yeah. There was 2 cops, yeah. Fuck. No, there was 2 cops outside. We're like, oh shit, because they fight all, they like scream match like all the time, like, oh fuck, someone's gonna die, and so there's 2 cops outside. We go in, and it's real quiet. We're like, okay, so they're not here, like they're not in this apartment. We're cool or whatever. So I leave because I dropped Tanner off this after work. Because we pulled up, I was like, God, this guy's still here. This guy's fucking has to be miserable. And then we see the cops. We're like, okay, they're upstairs. Well, we get in. We're like, okay, we're like, oh, they're not up there. I leave. Tanner FaceTimes. He's like, dude, they just fucking left. The cops are in their apartment. They just left. And I guess the cop went into his. He said the cop's coming back into the apartment, and he got like an evidence bag. So either they're getting busted for cocaine or maybe someone's like dead up there. I don't know. I'm probably gonna call them after this and figure out
that was
what's
today.
going on.
That was today.
Yeah, that was today. That was today. The other like 2 days ago were the smacking cheeks, and then the night before.
But how would they get in? How would they get into the apartment?
Well, here's what I'm saying is like, dude, you could hear everything. Like I'm saying, you could hear her moaning. You could hear her screaming. You could hear her stomping, everything. And I'm guessing the old dude next door, because only 3 people. It's Tanner, her, and this old guy. And this old dude's like, I've heard him bang on the door, like, and like basically tell him to shut the fuck up. And like, so I'm guessing he probably called the cops because he's probably tired of them fighting, and there's probably a noise complaint. And this bitch openly, like, you could hear her say, I got drugs, woo! Like, she's one of those chicks, like, loud and obnoxious, like, trashy bitches.
Right.
And I'm guessing the guy was like, dude, fuck it. Like, they got drugs. Get the fuck over here. I'm tired of them talking. And, or maybe there was a noise complaint or a complaint about it, and maybe the landlord called or something like that. Either way, someone definitely got called. Like, it was a noise complaint or something got called, and they probably came, and there's probably cocaine sitting on the fucking table or something. But
these situations,
dude, it's hilarious. It makes me feel normal.
Everything's fine. This is normal.
This is normal. Oh, it's funny. It was great. It's great.
I'm glad that I like tangent here, but I'm glad that you have a new job. I'm glad that you're.
Me too.
But what you were saying before this, though, was that you're getting up 4 hours before work.
Yeah, so 7, 8, 9, 10. So about 6 or 7, because I hated I was getting up at like 4 in the morning, and then like I was like my hair was a mess. Like, well, let me scratch that. I was getting up at like 4:50. Had to be at work at 5 because I'd get up at 4 and there's no way I was getting up. Like I was going back to bed. And I was like going to work a mess. Like I'd go to work with bedhead. You know, I didn't have time to brush my teeth, so I fucking smelled. So I had to fucking take a shower after work. So like, and you know, you go to work like that, you feel like shit. So you're not gonna work. You know, you don't work well when you feel like asshole. But now I'm like, I get up, I fucking shower, or I get up, I do my sprints. For the most part, I do. Like I didn't today, but I got up, I do my sprints, I spend time with honey, I spend a little time to myself. You know, just think about the day, plan out the day, meditate a little bit, masturbate. I mean, meditate. No, I'm kidding. I do meditate a little bit, and then I go shower, brush my teeth, and you know.
I've been trying to meditate.
Do you have the Calm app?
I did, and then I deleted it.
Because it costs money.
Well, I think you can still do those core ones for free.
I don't know. I paid for it on accident because they did the free trial. It kind of set me up.
Oh man, I did. Not Sam Harris, Dan Harris. It's called 10%, 10% happier.
Right.
And it's like a guided thing too. It's like Dan Harris is a guy. I think he's on NBC, or I think he's on like Good Morning America or something like that. And he had this like freak out session a long time ago. And anyway, so he wrote this book, and there's an app, and it's like a guided, they're kind of like educating you on like how to meditate and those types of things. And I don't know, because like you're always like, the thing is like, I've tried it before and I was like, I fucking hate this. Like I'm just sitting here. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. You know what I mean? And like the thing is I don't know. Like I think a lot of people are just like like I'm just sitting here not doing anything. But I have a hard time connecting. I understand the whole thing of like understanding, like being able to recognize when you're on a tangent, like in your head. You know what I mean? Like
right, so cluttered and yeah.
Or like, what I was gonna say is like, and the way this guy explains it is like your
fixated on
thoughts. Well, your thoughts are like a river or like a waterfall. Like they just keep rushing past, right?
Is this the Scottish dude?
What's that?
Is this the Scottish dude?
No.
Okay, continue.
I don't think he's Scottish. But like, it was like recognize that you just have this stream of thoughts that are coming, right? And it's like you're trying to get off, like detach yourself from that stream of thoughts, so you're not carried away with them. You know what I mean? So because I can so like, for example, like you get mad, but like you recognize like, okay, I'm just pissed right now because of this, like this, this little thing, like or like I am mad about this because of this thing, or like I feel this way because of this. And so like you're trying to remove yourself from just like, I'm pissed off and I'm going to be reacting to me being pissed off, or like any other feeling that you have. But like I have a hard time connecting that it's going to like help you sleep and like help you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like that. Supposedly it'll help you sleep.
I think so. I do you do it consistently, or
it's only been probably 4 or 5 days that I took, because I used to do it. I used to do a guided thing. Are you coming down? Yeah. All right. I love you.
Love you, buddy.
Luke said he loves you.
Why are you looking up stuff, like exercise stuff?
Well, because we're going to be locked down for 4 weeks, and I want to know how much a treadmill is. Go to bed.
For running?
Mm-hmm. I love you.
Down here?
Huh?
Down here?
Maybe.
This could be a whole gym area.
I know. Are you okay if I go to the gym in the morning or no?
Did I just say at dinner time 5 o'clock?
Okay. All right. Fine. Yeah. What were you saying? Okay, yeah, like, oh, yeah, really, I think it does.
Well, I think it does because, well, I mean, I've there's been times like with the Calm app, like there's a whole I did this whole thing where it's like guide you through like, okay, there's the concentrated meditation, there's the just let loose where you're like drooling, you're almost asleep meditation, and then there's like connecting yourself to others. Like there's a whole bunch of it to make you really understand it, and you do it for 30 days. And I did that, and I like really understood it really well. So and it's super hard to explain, obviously, like you have to do it, but what I like is like, because I mean there's some days where you meditate maybe 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes, and you're like, dude, I'm still pissed off. It didn't really do anything. But then, like, the next day... I don't
feel like I could do it for half an hour. Like, I feel like that's a waste of time. Like, that's too much time.
Oh, I've done it for, like, a half an hour. It's amazing. It's because then you really, like... Now I get it. Like, I get it to where I have relieved a lot of stress from doing it. And they even say in the video, it's like, okay, you might still be pissed off or, like, irritated after this. Like, you might still be like, but you'll notice, like, after doing this for like 5 days, your head's a little more clear. You're a lot more calm. You're not like you might, want to get pissed off and kick something or throw something, but then like the minute you get pissed off, you're gonna be like, okay, no, we're cool. You stop yourself, and that's what that meditation does. It's like, don't look for like after, like the effects after you meditate, which I feel now because I do it so much to where I feel like once you do it enough, you're like, okay, I'm calm. You know how to get in a meditative state, so like you're a lot really like relieved from stress afterwards. But if you do it like you're starting to do it, it's like, okay, well, look for it in your daily life. Like, are you gonna fucking want to punch someone in the face or like?
Well, see, okay. See, but this is where I get the whole bullshit. Like, this is like that's bullshit argument. Is like my problem is like I will recognize, like I feel like I've always been able to detach myself from things. Like,
right.
Okay, I understand I feel this way because of this.
Right.
I recognize it, but then I continue. Like, I make the decision to still
do it.
Punch a hole in the fucking wall.
Maybe you need to do it longer, and or maybe well, I mean, not even that. It's just like just being calm and clearing out your thoughts, like because obviously there's like you being pissed off, but like you said, your head's really cluttered. You meditate, and it literally, to me, it literally feels like, okay, all that shit is like it's not erasing it, but it's expanding. It's almost like because like it's like when your head's all cluttered, you're like this, and all your thoughts are just bubbling in here. But when you meditate, you open up. You know what I mean? It's more clear. Everything's a little more spread out. If that makes sense, like in your head, everything's a little more spread out. It's like, okay, now I can pick what I want to concentrate on versus it's all in here. And I'm like, I can't, there's, because how my brain works, like, you know how I talk. I talk over here, then I talk over here, then I talk. I'm like fucking Kanye. You know, I'm here, then I'm here, then I'm here. So when I meditate, it really pulls everything out. And I'm like, okay, now I can do this. Now I can focus on this. And I get the bullshit part of it a little bit, but I don't know. I think you need to do it longer, dude. I think you're not doing it long enough. I think you need to do 30 minutes. I think because you're a very disciplined person and you have also lost a lot of anger growing up, you know? You've lost a lot of it. So when you think about it, I think you're already disciplined enough to where it's like, okay, well, this like 10 minutes really isn't shit to you. I think you need to go longer. Because think of it, you lost. I mean, how much weight did you lose? Like 100 pounds, 100 something pounds. Okay, so think of that. That takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so doing a 10-minute meditation is really like because that's something extreme. Like you kind of were. It's almost like extreme. You know, you got to do stuff all out. So I think you should probably do it like 30 minutes.
See, but the thing is like my issue is like okay, maybe I'll try. I don't know if I can do it for I don't know if I can I might be able to do it for like 15 or 20 minutes.
What do you usually do? 5 minutes?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, that ain't shit. That's why you got to do at least like 20.
That's what the app tells you to do is just
oh, it's bullshit. You got first off, the Calm app is sponsored by LeBron, so it's legit. Okay, and you got to pay for it. No, it's legit.
You have to pay for this one too.
Yeah, well, it's not sponsored by LeBron, so you need to. Yeah, I think you need to do that. When we went to Mexico, I put on that Calm app, or well, I couldn't put because like the airplane mode. The only thing it let me do was hear the leaves or whatever. It was like rain on the leaves, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
there was the central sound side of the app.
And I've done this a couple times with meditating where I meditate and I listen to the sound and I pay attention to my breath or whatever I pick to pay attention to when you meditate. And it's like I fell asleep, but I was still awake. Like I definitely think I fell asleep for a little bit on the plane, but it was almost like I was in a meditative. It's weird. It's like I was in a whole new dimension. Like I was in a whole new like state of mind. Like I was literally in a meditative state, almost like you're hypnotized. You know what I mean? Like you are so relaxed. Like because there was times where I was like this. I had my eyes closed, I was meditating, and I fell forward and I woke up. But it's not like I was sleeping. You know what I mean?
But okay, I just don't feel like I could get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you have to. I am a very like brass tacks person. You know what I mean? Like I'm very grounded in the like. I mean, I'll put it like this. That seems very like kind of high.
Spiritual.
And
Yeah, I thought so too.
and I am very like, what's the numbers? What's the facts? What do we do? Like,
Okay, right, okay, but see, that's the thing is you could look at it like this because I mean I look at it in a spiritual way now, but I don't. But honestly, I'm in another world. No, but seriously, if you look, as I look at it like this too, is that I'm kind of more of a, like, I'm so fucking energetic all the time. I got to get up, I got to go, go. When
Right.
like I'm like this before I go to sleep, and then I just pass out because I'm ready for the morning when I go to sleep. So when I meditate, I look at it like, okay, so 30 minutes, like 30 minutes. Think of it as an accomplishment, like um it's just like you running on a treadmill. Like, okay, I'm gonna go 15 minutes. I'm gonna go 20 minutes. I'm gonna go 30 minutes. If you go 30 minutes of meditating, I promise you'll see the difference. I promise you. And it's not even like in a spiritual way. It's just in a way that you're like, okay, I literally, because you specifically you and like you are doing so much all day, every day. You're scheduled. You know what I mean. You're doing different things, and your break is like watching TV or playing video games or something like that, which is still like a task. So when you absolutely are doing nothing for 30 minutes, it's like taboo. It's totally different. But I
well,
think you should
that's
look
what
at
it
it
is
as a
too.
look
I
at
mean,
it
because like
as a task. Look at it as an
I,
accomplishment for 30
but that's
minutes
the
because it's
problem is
hard.
like,
It's hard
I know
to
it's hard,
do.
but here's the thing too, is like, okay, I work out 45 days a week. I try to do at least like a couple hours of like programming, coding, like type study type stuff
Right. Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
day. So I have to pack those, like maybe an hour in the morning coding, maybe an hour working out. I still have to get ready for
Right. Yeah.
work. And so like there's all these things that like I'm getting up at 5 in the morning and I still don't feel like I have enough time. Like I get up at 4:57 every day. 4:57. What is the time that I get up every single day, and I still feel like I get my coffee, I take the dog outstairs, I come downstairs, I do a little bit for 20 minutes. I got to go to the gym. By the time I get done with the gym, I'm back here at 7:45.
Right.
I got to
Right.
start work. Or if I do, you know what I mean? Like and then at work, I am doing this, I'm doing that. And then I got an hour of like something I can dedicate before I got dinner. And then after dinner, I got to help Kaden with homework. And then after that, I'm,
Right.
and so it's a constant, like I always feel like that's why I always enjoy like getting up early, and why I
Yeah.
love
Same
getting up at
here.
5 is because you like it's like you open up this hole of time
You
where
have
it's
so
just
much more
just
time. Yeah.
yeah, it's just you. And like for example, this morning, right? I live and die by my fucking calendar, dude. Like I am no like I have a personal OneNote. Do you know what OneNote is?
No.
Okay.
Or it's on your phone or whatever. Or
OneNote is like a Microsoft. It's kind of like Microsoft Word, but it's like
Mhm.
for like notes, right? It's like you have notebooks and pages and things like that. I have a OneNote that I keep all of my like notes in for like life. Okay, like literally, I have all. So like I am so fucking organized
Right.
that I have my calendar, I have my notes, and I have a different task app that I use. And like literally every time I'm like, oh, I need to do this, I put it in here, and then I track like when, oh, did I get it done? Yep, got it done. Cool. Like I'm so very like
Right. And right. No, I'm like, obviously you are like 20 times busier than I am, but I actually I'm the same way. Like I get up, I fucking um I don't do
I,
shit, really.
I
Actually, I really don't do shit. No. I like I said, I get up, I
this
drink my
morning,
coffee, take the dog
right?
out.
This morning, what I did, like every week I do a budgeting, like every day on Wednesday, because that's the cleanest day for when transactions have gone through. That's when I do my budgeting. That normally takes about 15 minutes. I check stuff, I pay off, I pay my bills, do this, do that. This morning I was looking up stuff for setting up a college savings plan for Caden. I went ahead and went and set up the account. I transferred money over into the account, set up a recurring deal. Like all of this takes like an hour and a half. You know what I mean?
Forever, right?
Right. And so I'm doing stuff like that every single morning.
Right.
So that I don't have to do it in the evening time, but then I still have stuff in the evening that I feel like, Danny's a godsend because she, even though she doesn't like to do it, she basically makes dinner, and so like I don't have to normally go up. Like it's not like I'm making dinner every single night, you know what I mean? So like an hour of my time is smashed. But then normally, like, sometimes we'll go on a walk, but then like you want to spend time with. Like I want to spend time with a little bit of time with Kid, and I want to still spend a little bit of time with Danny, and then before you know it, it's 9:00.
Right.
And the day is literally shot.
Over. Yeah, it's like, God damn it! I wanted to do so much more, but I had so much to do. No, I get that because, like I said, I I always feel like I have so much to accomplish, and I have to get so much shit done when I wake up. Like I wake up, roughly around 7, maybe a little bit before. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta take, like you said, take the dog out, you gotta drink some coffee, give some time to myself. I meditate, then I run, then then by that time I gotta go eat breakfast, or maybe I'm fasting, or maybe I want to spend time with my dog,
Right.
and then I go spend time with my dog. It's basically like having a kid,
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, and then and then you go and fucking do whatever. I got to go to work. Then after work, I got to, like today, I was like, fuck, I got to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym before coming, doing the podcast. So I was like, but I have to do the podcast because I usually schedule podcasts around the time. So I hurry up and go to the gym. And then after the gym is like, okay, now it's podcast time. Then I do a podcast. And then after that, shower, fucking chill out.
The thing is like, and this is something that I've always struggled with, is that it always feels like, even now, but like even more so before, like the biggest problem I had when I first got out of college was like like when you're in high school, when you're in elementary school, and it kind of like almost is the same in college. It's a little bit different, but like you're in school from like 8 to like 3, and then you have the rest of the day.
Right.
Like, day's yours. Do whatever you want, dude. You know what I mean? In college, it's a little bit different because it's like, okay, I got a class at 8, and then I have a class at 10. I got like an hour break in there.
Yeah.
I can, but like you have free time, and it's like you have this time to yourself. But like when you go into where like a typical office type situation where it's like you're working 8 to 5 every single day, right? You work 8 to 5. Then, like if you're living on your own, you got to make your own dinner. So you got to do all the prep work for making your own dinner. Then you eat dinner. Then you got to clean everything up, right? And so that takes like 2 hours,
right,
to do all of that stuff. And then by the time you get done, you have to inevitably do like some sort of chore activity or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm having a hard time thinking. Like maybe you have to go grocery shopping or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But then it's like by the time it's all said and done, it's 8:30 at night, and like you're like, okay, well, I want to get to bed at a decent time. And it's like
but
you only have an hour and a half to yourself, and you're like, well, I just kind of want to chill, and like I don't want to study, or you know what I mean. And I feel like that's why people have such a hard time like going to school while they're working, or like putting time towards building a new skill or something, it's some self-development type stuff.
Right.
It's because they're like,
something you're passionate about, there's no problem doing it, but then when it's something that you're like, fuck this, it's like,
yeah, when it's something that's challenging, that challenges you, that's
right,
you just feel like it feels like you're on tracks all day.
Right, and it's a good feeling. It makes you kind of it. And not to interrupt, it makes the days, because I'm pretty consistent on I have a schedule. I have to do this. I have to get this done. I gotta, you know what I mean. When I gotta read. I gotta finish this book. I want to finish this book by this time. I want to work on this podcast. I got other things I want to look into and study. Like you said, you're studying the computer shit, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Um, so when I'm doing that, I'm so much happier that I feel like a fucking go getter every day. Versus there's been times that like there's like a 2 month period where I was like, fuck it, going to work, going to bed after work. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And when you do that, it's like, oh, don't get me wrong. There's times that maybe you should do that. Like moderation's always good, but like the time that I was doing that, I was like getting depressed. I was like, dude, I'm so fucking like, dude, what am I doing? I'm not fucking working on myself.
Like,
All
my
I'm
life
doing
is
is,
pointless.
yeah, I'm literally just working for the man, making
But
money.
it's a weird fucking balance too, though, because like, there's stuff that I work on or that I do that I'm I enjoy or like I'm really interested in learning about.
Right.
Um, but it still feels like it still almost feels like you're on the tracks. Like it still feels almost like it's the homework that
Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah. That it sucks, but you still enjoy it. It's not
Yeah,
like,
it's like
yeah,
something that you're interested in, you want to do, but like
right.
even at the end of it, it still feels like you're on this track, and like,
Yeah.
and so I almost feel as if like I think what so yeah, so I absolutely agree with you because there's a point like when we got back from Cabo, I
Oh, it
had
took me a minute to get back into my schedule. I was fucking off
I
for a minute.
like here's the issue too. I had COVID, so
Right.
I felt like crap on our way home. So one, we were there for a week. I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything like close to a normal schedule. I
Right.
get sick. I'm sick for a week and a half on the way back, or after we get home. And so there's like a 3 week time period where like my life is just it's not what my
Right.
normal schedule like it's just thrown off. I didn't give a I was sleeping so much, which is weird because like I mean I normally don't sleep that well at all, and like
Right.
I won't fall asleep. I'll get like maybe 6 hours of sleep a night. You know what I mean? Like I lay down at 10, or well, actually lately I've been laying down at 9 and like reading for about an hour, and then I'll fall asleep like 10:30 or something like that. Like I'll turn off the light and stuff at like a little after
Right.
10.
Right.
But I normally won't fall asleep until definitely 11 o'clock because I just toss and turn, and then I wake back up at 5. Um, but before I was sleeping until like 6:45 in the morning. Going to bed at like 10:30, but sleeping until 6:45, or even sometimes sleeping until like 7:30. And when you do that, then I got to shower and immediately go into like work mode, and it's like you don't have any like buffer time or like
Right.
time to yourself. You know what I mean? Which I found like when I first started working very full time, I was like I just absolutely hated having to like wake up, shower, and immediately leave because it's like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
reacting to
You have right. You're going through the motions. It's like fuck, dude. I wanted to plan shit out. I want, yeah, like you said, have that time to yourself.
yeah, either have
Yeah.
time to yourself or like wake up before enough to like, oh, I'm just like I'm gonna kind of watch the news, have some
Yeah. Get
breakfast.
ready. Yeah. Get
Right. Yeah,
prepare.
like prepare
Yeah.
yourself for the day, like
Yeah.
versus just like reacting. So like when
Yeah.
I
That
started getting
sucks. My days are always shitty. Like that's a target. My days were always shitty because I was just
because of
reacting.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like when I started waking up really early, I was like, oh, this is a cheat code, bro, because like one, I have an hour to do something that I want to put time towards. Then I have
Right.
another whole hour of like where I could just kind of do whatever I want to do. You know what
Right.
I mean? And even after those two kind of hours, I still don't have to rush out the door. Like at
Right.
that point, 7 o'clock. And if I left at 7 o'clock, I'm still getting there pretty freaking early. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh man, this is just the best because like I'm working out or like I can watch TV for a little bit, then work out or watch, whatever. It's different now because we have Caden and stuff for like very obvious reasons. But like when you're single and you're working a typical 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever, that's the cheat code because you don't,
Right, 100%. No, I agree. I'm gonna stop it right there just because my computer's about to die. I'll just stop recording and we can keep going. But what was I gonna say? I guess I gotta thank you, for coming on,
Yeah, I don't know if we had a.
No, I think it was really good actually because I think actually it's probably one of my best ones because we actually got into depth of stuff, and usually I just have people that aren't like educated on shit that you're educated on, and plus we're related, so we kind of have the connection of what we want to talk about and stuff like that, So I think people will really enjoy this one, especially people my age who don't know what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like they could skip through and go over some shit, and just laugh.
Like,
people can laugh about certain things that we were talking about.
Well, it might be interesting, like, because if there's a bunch of people that are like in their early 20s or like late teens, whatever, that are listening to it, like, I'm just on the edge of the other side of that.
Right, exactly. So you're like, okay, this is exactly what I did. This is my fuck up. Like, and you really went over that. Like, I fucked up this, but this is, this was the common denominator of what's helping me go out and be successful, and just people in general, because I think most people don't have their shit together, like as much as you do. So I think majority. That's one thing is, dude. When you get older, you realize it's like, dude, you think like, oh, they're grown ups, and then you get older, you're like, not fucking grown ups. It's just a bunch of kids and fucking, like, you know what I mean? Like you get
you're
older,
just an
like,
older 7th grader.
Yeah, you're just like you're a fucking idiot. You were an idiot in 7th grade. You're an idiot now.
Idiot
you know
now.
what I mean? Yeah, those fucking people that were just fucking, spitting gumballs in class and shit are just stupid. They get older. I know someone told me this one thing that like what was it? Like that idiot in fucking class who just spitballs and all that shit. It's like, yeah, well, you call him sir when you get older. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're wiser. Like you could be a dumbass
He's the
when you're
same
older.
guy.
Yeah, he's the same dumbass. Yeah. No, but I appreciate it because I've been wanting to have you on for a while, but I didn't know if I know how my podcasts are and how I am. I was like, I don't know if he wants to tiptoe the water in or whatever. So
no, I don't give a shit. I don't. I'm mostly because like there's not a whole lot that I'm gonna say that's like inflammatory. It's not like I'm gonna get on here and like spew a bunch of like racist hate or something like that.
Bullshit. Yeah.
But I don't know. I like